Welcome to the Museum of Ventura County. I'm Renee, Talent Manager of Historic Collections here at the museum, and your host for Feast or Flop. I'm collaborating with Adam Hart, the director of the Culinary Arts Program at Oxnard College. Adam's main course is chicken poached in champagne. I'm here today with Chef Adam, and we are at Oxnard College at...
This is the Culinary Arts Program here at Oxnard College.
I've picked another special one for us. Chicken poached in champagne. This comes from Alan Hooker's first cookbook that came out in 1966. Alan Hooker owned the ranch house up in Ojai. So in the 1940s, he and his wife moved to Ojai and they start running a boarding house. And so for $14 a day, you got your meals and your room. He would make the meals. Alan was in charge of that. And everyone was vegetarian at their boarding house. And word of mouth grew about how good his meals were, that guests would come and then guests would bring guests. And all of a sudden he found that he wasn't making ends meet, that he was having to prepare food for too many people. So he took out a restaurant license to open his own restaurant. And that's what grew into the ranch house, which is still open today, but under new owners, obviously.
Of course.
So this comes from that cookbook from the 1960s.
Well, I mean, the 1960s, as we all know, was an interesting time in food as well. People were doing a lot of experimentation, you know, especially up in Northern California as well. And it just makes sense that that would translate its way down to Ventura as well. And it's also a time when people in California specifically are starting to really understand and be exposed to wine. From France, from Italy, and starting to grow their own up in Napa Valley. So it doesn't surprise me that a dish like this would have something that has a wine component to it. Calling a California sparkling white wine champagne is a little sacrilege, but you know, if it sells, by all means, use champagne.
But I would say maybe not the good stuff.
No, I would not. I would not use the good stuff for this.
Don't wait. Now's not the time to pull out your $200 bottle.
No, we always say, like, don't cook with something you wouldn't drink. This is the complete opposite on this dish. You know, please cook with something you would not drink. Now at this point, I've said so much. But this is a readily available sparkling white in California, around the U.S., so it's perfectly acceptable. It's going to do exactly what he intended it to do, flavor compound-wise. So it's a poached chicken. So we want to start with our vegetables first. Okay. That's probably going to take the longest, and then we'll break down our chicken, and then we will put everything together the way that he wanted, and we'll get that working for a little while. Okay?
Sounds good.
So the last part of this is where we're working with the herbs themselves, okay? There's a few in here that, you know, they call for lemon, verbena leaves, MSG, parsley, okay? Thyme is a great one, regular thyme, or you can use a lemon thyme also. This right here is called marjoram, which is a great herb if you've never worked with it before. Very delicate, but has its own pronounced flavor. What this is calling for is actually taking all of these herbs, and they want you to put it into a mortar and pestle and muddle it. So what I'm going to do instead is I've got this mixing bowl here. I've got the herbs, and then if we were to use something like a rolling pin, would probably help to smash it up a little bit. So people might have something like this at home, which they would use to roll out some doughs. This is great. It's handheld, and we can use it to actually muddle our herbs. Okay. Now what we're doing here is we're breaking down the herbs and the oils in it. So we're breaking this down. You can see that some of the herbs are starting to darken a little bit. Okay. So we're extracting that flavor. So man, you can smell that too. That is really something else, okay? Now we've got our garlic here, just one clove. We're gonna smash that. And we are going to add that in. And once again, so now what they're asking for is about 3/4 of a cup of the sparkling white into this mixture here, okay? So we're going to add that in, then we're gonna add our onion and mushroom mix, and that's gonna essentially be our marinade, okay? So let's add that in right now. Again, I'm just going to eyeball it.
It's like a science experiment.
It is. And again, very new to me, and it's...
This is your first time adding champagne to herbs.
Yes, not my first
adding
time.
champagne to herbs.
Yes, I let that air quote go. Not the first time I'm using white wine for cooking, and we use white wine a lot in cooking. You know, in fact, in Ventura County, Santa Barbara, we have a perfect climate for Chardonnay, which is one of the grapes that you would find in a French champagne itself. It's made up of 3 different wines. Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. So we're gonna let that sit for a little bit while we're breaking down our chicken. Everything goes together into that same pot right there. This is a 1-pot dish, and we're gonna get it cooking and braising, and then we'll taste it a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So we now have our leg and thighs separated, our breasts separated here. We got our wings. This will all be used for stock. This we're gonna save and make for our kids or ourselves. And then this is what we're actually using as the broken down chicken.
Okay.
So we're gonna take bone in, legs, thighs, chicken breasts into our mixture. And we're gonna let that marinade for 4 hours, okay?
Okay.
So what we wanna do is make sure everything is submerged, okay? That's what it looks like.
Looks great.
Okay, we'll come back once this is done, and we'll get it braising, okay? All right.
Wonderful. Alan got his start baking. He ran a bakery before he came to Ojai. So, and he was vegetarian. So cooking with proteins, not his main gig. It was all of his recipes were derived through experimentation on his own.
It's interesting, yeah.
Maybe a little different than you would do.
It's a little bit different, but that doesn't, you know, listen, these recipes that we're doing today, they're grandma's recipes. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't go into my grandma's kitchen and tell her she's doing something wrong.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the other reasons he probably used champagne is that the ranch house became sort of this magnet for celebrities coming through Ventura County.
Yep.
So he had people like Paul Newman and Natalie Wood and Irene Dunn, all of these like famous names of the time going and eating at his
Makes
restaurant.
100% sense.
Yeah,
at
so
that
bringing
point.
in the champagne.
Absolutely.
You're bringing in the celebratory mood.
Yeah.
People are now going to the ranch house hoping to see celebrities. It's all a show.
All right, so everything is ready to go. Let's see how it all plates up. And everything looks good.
This and smells good.
Smells
the
good.
smell in here is really good, and I think I think this is the culprit.
Like I said, I may have to eat my words on this one, saying it might not be a fantastic recipe, but it smells amazing. It looks really good.
Smells good.
So, and you know, look at how beautiful this sauce came out. You know, I mean, you've got the onions and the mushrooms and
butter.
Lots of butter.
Lots
and then,
of butter.
you know, as the chicken cooks also, that it's releasing all those chicken juices in there as well.
I'm so excited to taste these, and then we'll find out if they're a feast or a flop.
Let's see.
Let's see. It's time. It's time for us to taste these things. This is what the whole process has been leading up to, is figuring out if they worked and if they're any good.
So this is the chicken dish. I'm going to go ahead and cut into it here. It's nicely cooked.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
It's delicious.
It's really good.
It's really good.
You know, it's got a lot of that acidity
Mm-hmm.
from the white wine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, using a cheaper white wine is probably a better.
He was right.
Yeah, because it's you're going to get that acidity level in there. And the sauce itself is really nice. You know, the onions and the mushrooms are a good base, but really that herb that we put into the marinade is really coming out, surprisingly. The whole thing is just
That's a
pretty
good.
darn
It's a
good.
good piece of chicken.
That's a good piece of chicken.
It's a good piece of chicken. It's solid.
Mm-hmm.
The sauce is tasty.
Yeah.
I was nervous about the salt, not adding salt. Absolutely doesn't need any more salt.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Delicious. What a winner.
I think
Alan
that
Hooker knew what he was doing. I am stealing the chicken, not just because I agree with Alan. I think that champagne makes everything fancy.
Yes,
It makes
does.
everything seem exciting.
Yeah.
You tell your friends who have come over for dinner that
Yeah.
you have cooked them something in champagne. And then we didn't use the whole bottle, so you also get like a little chef's treat. You
There
get
you
to
go.
drink something
There
while
you go.
you're
Well,
cooking.
that really is the whole thing. We never use the whole bottle, even if the recipe calls for it. You always have a couple ounces on the side.
You save something back.
Always.
So this chicken is coming home with me.
Terrific.
That's my winner. All of these recipes are going to be available online for you guys if you want to try them at home. You'll be able to decide for yourself what was a feast and what was a flop. Maybe you'll have different opinions than us. And happy cooking. All of the feast or flop recipes will be available for you to create and enjoy at home. You can see them on the museum website at venturamuseum.org, broadcast on CAPS Channel 6 and on CAPS Radio at 104.1 FM.